Annie. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Morning, all.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Office Hours for October 23rd, 2024. Almost to Halloween. We're almost there. My favorite month of the year. So, before we get into questions this week, while everybody's kind of getting settled, we're going to let Annie start off with a presentation of something that just about everybody should be finding a way to make use of. So, Annie, why don't you go ahead and show us what you got?
Yep. Right, let me share my screen here. All right, can you see Google Drive there? Cool. All right, so I just wanted to announce that I do have winter buyer and seller guides available to everybody. So this is the folder that you will see when you come into this link. I'll share the link via email today, but also again, just a reminder, you always have access to the link in the Launchpad menu in the app. There's a link that just says buyer and seller guide, so you always have access via the app. So again, obviously you've already used our summer ones. If you click into winter, you'll see that we have the seller guide, the buyer guide, and I also did make a social media announcement that you guys can use to announce these to try and get people to ask for them. So as you can see, it's just a nice, easy graphic just to get people to ask you for these guides. So they are PDFs. So again, they're nice, already done for you PDFs. Our logos are already in here. And then at the very bottom, you'll see that we have this empty box and it is editable. So this is where you can add your name, your cell phone number, your office number, address, email, whatever you want to do here. You can click in here and type. If you're not able to do that from this screen, you'll just want to download it. And then it will give you the ability to edit those fields, and you'll see little boxes that you can just type into, put your cursor into and type into. So again, we have the buyer guide and the seller guide. And again, these are done for you, just really easy ways to get people to ask for this, start a conversation, send out a blast email with these, anything like that. Let me see here. Let me see if I can share. Should go to my downloads, open this up. Are you still seeing this one? Are you still seeing Drive? Reading the PDF?
I see the PDF.
Yeah, we see the
Okay,
PDF.
perfect. Okay, so you'll see barely see it here, but there's these little boxes right here that you can click in, and now you see my cursor is blinking, so I can just type in my name. So that's what I'm talking about when I say it's editable, to just add your contact information into these. So both of them are available like that. All you have to do is download them, and then they are editable there. So yeah, that's all I had to share today.
Awesome. Thank you, Annie. Okay. All right. Let's go around the Zoom, as it were. We'll go alphabetical today. So we'll start with the whole reason we're here, and that is your questions. Leah, what have you got for us?
One, I actually don't have anything. I'm just listening.
Okay. Alrighty. Thank you. Chris Moore, question for us this week.
I don't have any. I'm here for the knowledge.
Are you sure? Didn't you tell me you had something from a marketing class you wanted to ask about because we didn't record it? What was it you were looking for help with? Do you remember?
So Annie sent me the videos and I've
Oh,
been using the videos.
gotcha. Okay.
So
All
I'm
right, cool.
not, take the dumbass hat off me today.
Okay. I wasn't, I was thinking in my head, oh, I know Chris has got a question. Okay. All right. Let's go next to Denise Drayton. Denise, alphabetically, you're first up. Good morning. Denise, we can't hear you if you're talking. You're muted. You can unmute or just hold the space bar. It's a little shortcut. And while you keep it held down, you'll be unmuted.
I know she's listening from work, so she may not be able to ask
Okay,
anything.
yeah, we'll circle back. Denise, you can either type it in the chat or, I'll circle back if you raise your hand or unmute. Next up, Denise Thomas.
Did you hear that?
I hear this. Good morning.
Good morning. I said I'm just listening as well.
Oh, okay. We did. Yeah, we did not catch that, but thank you very much. Okay, we'll skip Leah and go right to Lisa Height.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
I was wondering if Hometown has like a quick marketing piece as I'm doing my social media. Sometimes people want to know why I stayed with Hometown so long. Do we have something we could share and add to our social media posting?
Yeah, who would you say is the target audience? Is it a customer kind of thing, or do you mean other
It's,
agents?
it's other agents.
Other agents. Yeah. We do. We have several marketing pieces. Annie, I'll have Annie send it to you. Annie, why don't you send her the Life in Our Family one? I think is probably the best kind of overview. And then, anybody, this is not just for Lisa, but for anybody, when you have somebody, either a licensee or a prospective licensee, you can always send them to joinhtre.com, which is our
Okay.
recruiting website. And that might even be better than the marketing piece, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Only from the standpoint that it has all the stuff, like if they really care about commissions and splits and that kind of stuff, but it's also got testimonial videos on it, which is usually a kind of a gives a better vibe of like, well, what's this place like? So I'd like to revise my answer and say, join HTRE, Lisa, is actually the best place.
Okay.
And you can post that, give that, share that, whatever. I think that's the best place rather than getting into the pieces we use because those tend to need an explainer. Like they're
Okay.
a little better when I'm explaining it. And of course that's what I do. So that's kind of where I was going with this is, introduce somebody to the concept with that recruiting website. And then the very next step should be to send them along to me. And you can have me reach out. I'll reach out to anybody anytime, of course, and just have a conversation. And, if you've never done that before, rest assured, I will not bug the shit out of your friends, which I know sounds like, well, of course you wouldn't. Most brokerages will. They will call you incessantly. And so then, I have friends at other brokerages who say, I never recommend my place because they make me look bad by calling my friend 14 times in 3 days. And we never do that stuff. It's very light touch. Call for an introduction, see if they want to chat. Sometimes they want to, sometimes they want to 5 years later, and that's okay. Would we prefer sooner? Of course, but we've learned that there's a way we want to do this, and bugging people is not part of it. So yeah, just wanted to say that.
Good. Thank you.
Uh, cool. Yeah, thank you, Lisa. Appreciate that. Join HTRE.com. Annie, put that in the chat if you could, please. Okay. Let's see. Next up, Mike Albitz, what you got for us?
This might be better on Monday marketing, but I'll just touch it briefly. I just learned today that I can take my mailing list that I have, like that we're sending out just sold flyers to,
Mhm.
and upload that list as a custom audience on Facebook for a sponsored post of the same. Do you guys do that, or is that something that you guys have had success with and can help me with?
Uh, yes. So we don't do that like on anyone's behalf. But it is pretty easy to do if you are, I would say this is intermediate to advanced marketing. So if you're at that level, if you're listening now and you're comfortable with that, fine. But you really need to be talking about large numbers. So if you have like a 50-person past client list, it's not going to do you a whole lot of good. Facebook just won't be able to serve whatever you're doing enough. Um, and in fact, you probably want to be approaching 1,000 people. And here's why I say that. So, and I'll get to some of the specifics in a second, but one of the areas we use this in is actually in our recruiting ads. So we have the list of Southern Maryland real estate agents. It tends to be around 1,500 people, and that is just barely enough to make it worth our time and money to try to serve ads to those guys. Because what will happen is if Facebook can't serve the ad very much, great. You'll only spend 43 cents every 2 months, but that's not what you're trying to do. You're not trying to spend as little as possible. You're trying to get the ad in front of somebody. And so then you run into this thing where you spend all this time and energy and nothing's happening, right? You're back where you started. So try to get it to where you have like, you're pretty close to 1,000. Now, you can do that not only by having a list that's 1,000 people, but you can kind of add to that list. And when you get into Facebook audiences, when you start to read about it, you will find that you can not only create something called a lookalike audience, which is people that are similar, but you can also do geographic targeting. Now, your ads are going to be real estate, so they're going to be restricted heavily by Facebook, which I know has Annie with her finger on the unmute button, ready to stop me from saying something that's no longer true. Because back in the good old days, you could really do some cool stuff. Now they have restricted that because they don't want fair housing violations, which we get. So you won't be able to target on income or likelihood to buy or any of those kind of, we'll call them personality characteristics that Facebook has on you. If you run a, sewing store, you get to do all that stuff. If you're in real estate, you just simply don't. Sorry. That's the rub. Um, so the basic idea behind a custom audience in Facebook is you're creating a group which you can't see all the details of, but you're saying to Facebook, here are my people, here are your people, here are people who live nearby, and someone like Allison might get caught up in that audience, right? So I've never sold a house to Allison. She's not actually in my database, but she's close enough to those criteria where she gets, caught up in that. And so Facebook is showing her the ad. And that's what makes custom audiences really powerful. Not only can you make sure your ad is being shown to the people you already know how to reach, but you can bring in people who are similar to them in some way and reach them also. And that's really what you want to do. Now, Mike asked if we do this, and we do, not just in recruiting. All of our listing rocket ads are run to custom audiences. We've been cultivating custom audiences in the DMV area. I think it's been about 10 years now. And we started with lists of people. Then we added everybody who's ever visited our website in the history of their life. So everyone on this webinar right now is in our custom audience, whether I know it or not, right? And a person can be in the audience and can be getting served ads without us having any of your information. It's Facebook that knows your information, not us. They just know you're part of the group they want to show it to. So if you're listening to all this right now, for I would say 9 out of 10 of you, what you can take away from it is if you're buying listing rockets, this is all covered for you. And that's why we do it that way, because most people aren't going to get this deep. But if you want to start to get this deep, the other thing you really need to get active is your own Facebook pixel, which of course is and every website has this kind of thing. It's like a cookie. We all know what cookies are, I think, nowadays. Facebook pixel is a tracker. And you're going to want that because you're going to want Facebook to know when the right people have ended up either at your website or at your lead capture place or whatever. So these pieces are all fairly complicated and kind of part of a spider web. With Listing Rockets, we do all that for you. We just treat it as one big group. And that's also why we don't have to worry about size issues because, when we do it, we're showing an ad all over the place, right? I mean, we stay out of like Jersey, but sometimes our ads will run in those far off places to get exposure. And then we have more targeted audiences. So I think what we can probably help with is we can point you toward the articles on getting started with audiences, but this is a big juices worth the squeeze thing that you guys have to decide for yourselves. My advice, Mike did not ask for it, which is fine. No harm, no foul. I'm going to give it anyway, though. My advice would be is like, this should be the 42nd thing on your list. If you're not already doing the other 40 things we've talked about on Marketing Mondays or that are recommended or that successful agents do, then don't go down this path yet. Save it. That's not to dissuade anybody. It's just it shouldn't be the fifth project you take on. It should be the 25th you take on, right? So if you already have in Follow Up Boss every person you've ever met and the database is accurate and cultivated and segregated, and you can show me the people who refer to you a lot and the people who refer to you a little. And if on top of that you have all your past clients, all your cold leads, and they're all, again, you can pull up a list of who's just a past client, who's both a past client and was a cold lead, who was one but not the other. Like if that's the state of your database, then we're getting closer to the point where we can think about something like custom audiences in Facebook. If not, just take advantage of ours in the meantime, right? Run the ads to those audiences, which is really kind of our shared audience, and don't you can easily spend a lot of time with not much bang for your buck. So that's more than Mike asked for sure. Mike, before I come back to you, and we can certainly follow up, Chris has a question. So let's let him
Yeah,
ask, and then we'll see
and
if Annie.
so I don't know if this falls into the same comments that you just made. It sounds like they do. I tried to run an ad on Facebook and it was rejected for discrimination.
So you probably there,
We hear that a lot.
yeah. There's a very small checkbox that Facebook likes to make hard to find. When you run an ad, you have to select a special ad category, is what it's called. So you will select a little checkbox next to special ad category, and then it'll give you a drop down. Under that drop down, you have to select housing. And then once you select housing, that's what puts you in compliance, and it will take away any of the options that they feel are discriminatory. So it makes it a little bit easier on you because you don't even have the option to add those, but you do have to select that ad category before you run an ad for anything real estate. Even if you're mentioning a lender, anything like that has to be in that special ad category.
That being said, Facebook is more restrictive about it than even like your broker or the real estate commission are. If you use the word family, your ad is probably getting rejected. And that's not really true for us, right? You can write about a house and use the word family without it being something like great for families, right? Instead, you could say family room, and we would all allow that. Facebook will not. Facebook will flag that kind of stuff.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Annie, before I go back to Mike, was there anything in my answer to Mike that you think we should
No, I don't
mention?
think so. I was just gonna send you the article. I will say that sometimes when you add custom audiences, once you select that special ad category, you might find that some of your custom audiences are not available. So you'll have to go back and see like any of your audiences, if it has any like one little thing that might take it away under that special ad category. So if it's not there, it's probably because there's something in that audience that is not allowing you to use it as a special ad category.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. So Mike, back to you. Did I answer? Did I get
Thank
you
you.
started down a path?
Perfect. I might send you guys an email offline of my
Yeah,
exact
please.
use case, and that way I don't want to dominate any more time.
No,
Thank
no,
you.
no. I appreciate the question. And, it's the kind of thing we can all learn from in the sense of, I think most of us listening, the takeaway should be, okay, that's great that that exists. And also Annie's got it covered for me. And that's okay. It's perfectly fine that, right? Like, you want to help your clients move. You don't get your pickup truck and necessarily go put stuff in the back. Although sometimes you do, right? I mean, we've all been there. So, no, great question. Thank you. Okay, let's see. We've got Ron up next. Ron, did you have a question for office hours this week?
I don't have any questions at this time. I do appreciate the conversation we're having there because that was something I thought about, but I have been very happy with all the work that Annie does and the feedback that I'm getting from my postcards and from all the stuff she puts on Facebook. So thank you very much for that service that's offered through this company.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Ron. You know what? And to kind of double back on that a little bit, I think this is that what Ron just said is another good example of kind of where the split can be. Like if in your business the ads you're trying to run are about exposure, right? I want to be able to say to my seller, I advertised your listing. I want to be able to say to my seller, I advertised your open house. Then those are all the ads we offer already, and they're dirt cheap, and just pay us and do them and don't worry about it. When you get to the point where you're already mailing postcards on all your listings and you're already doing circle prospecting and making calls and you're already doing all these things to try to get more listings out of that one listing, and then what you want the Facebook ad for is to capture people you can pick up the phone and call and try to convert, that's where you can do your own ad. The challenge with it is it's not going to be just the ad. You're going to need a landing page for them to go to. You're going to need a way to capture their information through Facebook, probably using Facebook leads. You're going to need several things. Then you're going to need the pixel. Then you're going to bring the custom audience into it. But it's when you're past all of the kind of things that I would say even the top 5% of realtors do, right? Like the top 5% of realtors, when they get a listing, they do a mailer based on that listing. They do calls based on that listing. They run exposure ads based on that listing. The top 0.5%, might then go beyond that and run advertising designed to get someone to give information, and then I'm going to call and try to convert them, right? Whereas those other three kinds are mostly about exposing the house and being okay that someone else sells it, right? Or servicing the seller for most of those. And when you want to make that leap, then it might be worth it. But you're going to need a lot of help, and it's going to take a lot of time. The reward, though, is that if you're running that kind of ad, you might spend $50, you might get five people, but they're five people with Facebook accounts that you can try to call, reach, get in front of, door knock, whatever it is. But listen to all the things I just said. That it's not run an ad and suddenly get numbers in and now I'm selling houses, right? It's a very foundational piece. It's like the first step in a brand new pipeline. And so, when I said earlier, if all your other stuff was good to go, so if you already have these other pipelines and they're functioning well, great. Now you can dive into something like that. And if you're not, then focus on those other things. So yeah, okay, cool. Thanks, Ron. Tyra, how about you? Do you have a question for us this week?
Yes, since you guys talking about the advertising thing,
Mhm.
I was looking at that door hanger that put your informations in there. I'm not sure, is that legal to do that? Like
Yeah.
I
So yeah, door hangers are okay. You just have to, I know this sounds a little silly. You have to hang them on doors. Where
Yeah.
most people get in trouble with door hangers is they hang them on a mailbox, which is illegal. You cannot do that. Can't
Okay.
put anything on a mailbox. So it's got to be on doors. And then, much like any other kind of solicitor, you've got to pay attention to no soliciting, no trespassing, those kind of signs. You don't want to just be, but otherwise, yeah, they're perfectly fine. You can get those door hangers printed up, and do like a leave behind. The other thing that they make that is maybe even a little easier and longer term, they make bags for that are like door hanger bags. They're clear bags. Then you can put whatever you want inside of the bag, which is, maybe a little better because you might leave a business card, but you might do a letter for one neighborhood. You might do a different letter for a different neighborhood. Well, you don't have to get the marketing piece reprinted now. You don't have to worry about what's on the door hanger. You're using the door hanger bag. Of course, the downside of that is you got to stuff the stuff in the bags. It's kind of an intermediate step. But yeah, those are perfectly fine to do. Those would fall under, door knocking, really. And so our advice is always with door knocking is you can't get discouraged. You got to be ready for people to tell you to get off their lawn. You got to be ready that, you're going to aiming for one good conversation and 50 leave behinds. But the conversations can be really good. And we know it works. It's free, whatever materials you're going to get being a very minimal cost. It's your time, right? You're putting time in. And I mean, the founder of this company will tell you she built her real estate business on driving around and knocking on people's doors and putting flyers in places. We won't say she put flyers because you're not allowed to do it, but she did. She left things behind. We'll just put it that way, and started to build a business out of that. So, with door knocking, you want to be systematic. You want to think about where you're door knocking, and then you want to go back eventually, right? You don't just want to visit once and then 11 years later come back to that same neighborhood, follow up with a mailer or follow up with another door knock again. But yeah, something like that would all be a piece of door knocking. And Cindy has and Cindy, let me know if you need help finding it because door knocking is a rare request, as you might imagine. But we do have entire handouts on how to build a door knocking plan, and so we can help with that if you're willing.
So I was planning to do that just only in my neighborhood or like my neighbor that don't know that I'm doing real estate. So just
Sure.
basically not just walk into them and give them a business card. It's just basically hanging there. They look at the picture. They say, "Oh, I know that lady." And then when we meet each other again, the conversation might be easier, and just start from there and just small group, and that's it.
Approximately how many houses are in your neighborhood?
Oh, I would say at least
Take a
50
guess.
plus.
Perfect. Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure it was a big number because if it's like 7 or 8, okay, fine, but that's not going to get, it's not going to get you anywhere. So yeah, that's perfectly fine. Just Tyra, and when you discuss this with Cindy, think about, so you're going to make one pass around the neighborhood and get them some kind of contact information and make an introduction. What's the second point of contact going to be? A month later. What's the third one going to be 3 months later, right? Are you going to send them a follow-up postcard 6 months later, right? Whatever. Build so that the people in your neighborhood hear from you. Really, the target should be 6 times a year. I know that can be tough, especially when you get started. So aim for 4 times a year, but between 4 and 6 times a year. So that's quarterly or every other month is how often you want to be. So it can't be just your business card 6 times, right? It needs to be maybe your business card once, maybe a letter once, maybe a postcard once, maybe a phone call once, maybe just a pop by, maybe a gift, some cookies, something holiday theme, something, right? There's all these different kind of options. And you can talk about the specifics with Cindy. But yeah, think about it more than just a one-time hit. Think about it as, okay, it'll take me, 2 days each time I do it, and I want to do it 4 times over the next 12 months. So that's 8 days, no big deal, right? Or 8 half days. You could do that, build that into your calendar, schedule it out, and then figure out what you're going to do, and then off you go.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Great question. Anybody else here done door knocking? I feel like Ron has door knocked in the past. Yeah, you
If
know what?
you
He just unmuted. There we go, Ron. Tell us about your door knocking experience.
usually when I'm doing an open house, a couple hours before, I will go to 5 houses on each side of the house, and I call it a pot by bag. I
Yeah,
mean,
sweet.
I put a business card in there. I put a little bit of candy. I put I have a stress ball that I give them. Sometimes it's a pen or a pencil. It's basically supplying a flyer to them. But then all my past clients, I have a pot by regiment, and when I'm driving through that area, I'll hit all my past clients with a small gift. I mean, seasonal flowers, something Mother's Day stuff, Christmas things. And I usually do it 4 to 5 times a year, just like Kevin was saying. And it's tremendous amount of repeat business when you hit your past clients or people you've talked to, and then you hit the neighbors on each side because you're already there. So, and just give them a small gift. And then, you can always say that I've sold houses in this neighborhood, blah, blah, blah. But door knocking, I mean, has been tremendous for me in the fact that, my pop by gifts is what I call it. I don't call it door knocking. I call it pop by gifts because I'm giving them a gift from my heart and saying, here, I'm a
I like
realtor.
that too because psychologically it sounds better for us. Imagine if I tell Lisa, Hi, tomorrow morning you got to get up and door knock. Or tomorrow morning, you got to give pop-by gifts. One
Yeah.
sounds more fun than the other. I'll tell you that. Great. Thank you, Ron. Denise and then Mike. Door knocking.
Oh, well, for real estate, I've gone with Aaliyah when she first got licensed to introduce her to the neighborhoods because she lives in a gigantoir subdivision.
Awesome.
So yeah, that was
Uh,
the most recent.
Awesome. Mike, what's your door knocking experience?
The amount of people that answer the door through their window shocked me when I used to do a part of Wayland's open house plan. It was shocking. Speaking to people through second story windows is the regular occurrence, it seems, these days.
That's funny. Oh, too funny. Cool. Okay. Let's see. Oh, that's everybody. So before we wrap up, anybody else have anything come to mind? Anything somebody else mentioned? I didn't miss anybody, did I? I don't think so. Well, what about Denise Drayton? Did we find out if she had a question? Oh, here to learn. Okay, I see she put in the chat. Awesome. Thanks, Denise. Thanks for being here. Okay. Well, then that's all we have for this week. Thank you for the questions. Questions are the key, guys. If we don't have questions, we can't help you on Wednesdays. So please bring whatever questions you have. Thanks to everybody who chimed in with a question. Very helpful. And we'll see you next week. Take care.
Thank you. Have a good one.